Everybody on YouTube, it's Andrew21397 with basically my first face reveal. I don't know where exactly to look at this camera, but today I actually wanted to talk about some of the reasons why I feel that Sony is somewhat anti-consumer. And I mean, I'm not saying, every company isn't, because they're billion-dollar companies pretty much, especially Microsoft. But some of the things and some of the reasons why I actually ended up going Xbox this generation are because of anti-consumer Sony. And I mean, I played PS4 a lot more than Xbox One. I didn't get an Xbox One until 4 years after I got a PS4 because I've always been on the PlayStation train. I've always been a fanboy of Sony ever since the PS1 and PS2. I like the Xbox, but I didn't get into Xbox until Xbox One when they had backwards compatibility as a big thing. So, I mean, I'm going to try not to be as biased as possible, but this isn't to spark up console wars or none of that, because I love my PlayStations. I always will, but as a consumer, I have to make this video because number one biggest thing, I'll grab this PlayStation I have from a customer. One thing I do like about Sony is they make it very easy to swap the hard drive on a PS4. Of course, PS5 has an M.2 slot that you have to actually dig into, but it's right there. Xbox One, you have to take the whole system apart, and that can be a pain for some people that don't refurbish consoles, which I do. So I know how to do it, and I put SSDs and Xbox Ones and stuff. But I mean, that's one pro thing about Sony, I will say. But you think about this console right here. Think about it. Where does the air go? Where? Out the back. Think about an Xbox One. And I got my Series S right here. Think about that. The air has a big fan on top that exhausts air out. To me, Microsoft made the right choice there because, who doesn't want their console to be cool as possible? To me, it just makes sense. Secondly, the second thing that made me sway away, actually I'll hit on the first thing again. It's the design of the consoles. Microsoft puts a little bit more attention to detail than Sony does. And attention to detail meaning their cooling system to make sure the consoles last longer. They learned their lesson after 360. Once 360 was done, 360 Slim, I've got one down here and I'll show y'all. Got a 360 Slim in there. That was the first time they had an exhaust on top of the console that exhausted the hot air out, which was smart, very, very smart. But the second thing is the freaking plates. Do you have to be that jealous that a company is making dark plates or whatever? They're making them plates, and they're making them better than Sony with a big fan hole. Yeah, Microsoft's design. Thank you, D-Brand. Thank you for making them plates for the PS5. That makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, let's go throw out a lawsuit. They're copying our design, and our design sucks. Yeah. Another thing is, how do you expect people to believe that your console is going to come with 825 gigabytes when really it's 600 gigabytes? And then at first, you didn't even allow people to use the M.2 slot. You had to wait on a long-awaited update for months. I could use an external drive on my Xbox as soon as I got it. As soon as I got my Series S. And at that time, you still couldn't use the M.2 on your PS5. Still. And you can't use more than 8 terabytes. If that ain't anti-consumer, yeah, let's make them spend more money on 4 more terabytes. So they'll buy another M.2 SSD or another PS5. And I hate to break it to you, PlayStation Now is a joke. An absolute freaking joke. And, you know, like I said, I was on the Sony train for a long time. I did PlayStation Now for a while, and streaming doesn't work. I know Xbox is getting their game together with the cloud streaming right now, but, I mean, to me, streaming is nowhere near the quality of, like, say, downloading a game like Game Pass, or, you know, a disc, downloading a digital version to your console, blah, blah, blah. PS Now was all cloud. Cloud, like, back a few years ago when I first played PlayStation Now, I played a couple games on there on my PS4, and that was in 2015 with a wired connection. That's another thing we'll talk about. The PS4 came with 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and Xbox came with 5. Why? So if somebody has 400 megabit per second internet like me, I'm only going to get half of that on a PlayStation 4. That's sad. But yeah, I was streaming with my connection wired back in 2015 or whatever on my PS4 when I first got it. And I was getting decent speed, maybe 100 megabit or something. And it was still crapping out. Like, I'd get like the red thing that would tell me, oh, your connection's weak, and it just kicked me off the game. And it happened several times to where it was unplayable, basically. And I mean, different connections now may vary. I know people have gig internet and stuff, gigabit, but still, not everybody has gigabit Ethernet. So, that's another thing. And this is not a rant about how bad the PS5 is and how bad the PS4 is, because like I said, I played a lot of the PS4. I love it for what it is. The games, you know, times I had with my friends, PlayStations before that. But it's just the things that I'm seeing now that I've kind of got off the PlayStation fanboyism train. Like, you notice stuff like that, and it makes your mind think as a gamer, like, what direction should I go? And that's the biggest reason why I want Xbox this generation. But another big thing is just that streaming service. Plus, the thing is, the PS5 is basically a glorified PS4 Pro with an SSD. Yes, it may have a better processor. Yes, it may come with a very fast SSD that, you know, is essentially triple the speed of a hard drive, maybe even quadruple speed. But the PS4 Pro, if it came with SSD, it'd pretty much be a PS5. You can't tell me that the Xbox Series X and S launched with 120 frames per second support, but the PS5 didn't. Are you serious? So you'd rather fidelity over performance every time you play a game? Nah. Performance matters. Yeah, I'll take my 1440p with 120 FPS on my Xbox over 4K 60 all day, every day, because FPS boost and, you know, HDR in 1440p is not a huge difference, because, I mean, think about it. You're sacrificing a little bit of resolution for performance, and your game runs so smooth, especially on my monitor. Yeah, got an LG Ultra Gear monitor, and, you know, if the game doesn't support 120 FPS, I'll put it in 4K 60, but that's rare because, I mean, if you have variable refresh rate on, some games might even go over 60 frames just because. But to me, that was weird. Like, no games had 120 FPS on PS5 when it launched. I'm like, the hell? Why? Yeah, that's another thing. So that's why I said it's basically a glorified PS4 Pro. But even though most PS4 games kind of ran at, you know, 30 frames, but you get what I mean. it's kind of like, whatever. And for the price point, they did make a smart move by making the PS5 digital the same exact thing as the PS5 disc without a disc drive, but and the Series S, even though the Series S is its own animal by itself, which I love mine. Let me think. One last thing that kind of, just sways me away as a whole, like the fact that the $60 PlayStation Plus membership doesn't do much for me anymore. It doesn't do much for me. I mean, you don't get any good games anymore. I mean, all you really pay for is just to play online, and to me, that's kind of somewhat anti-consumer. And this one aggravates me because I'm very, very loyal, I would say, to my collection, especially my physical disc. Now, hear me out on this because I have a Series S, so I have all digital gaming right now. But anything backwards compatible, I still have my Xbox One. Anything disc, I can slip into my Xbox One if it's backwards compatible, and it still gets upgrades from the original Xbox or 360 version. That's kind of big to me. But Series X, if you have a disc drive, you can pretty much do the same thing. But the thing is that if I ever want to upgrade to a Series X from my S, here's the kicker. If I own a disc and it supports the X and S version, an enhanced version, or whatever the case may be, if I own it digital, if I own it on disc, and there's a upgraded version, I don't have to pay a penny if it's under the Smart Delivery program, which that's the case for a lot of games. Microsoft will give you the enhanced version for free. You don't have to pay the stupid $10 fee. You don't have to pay Ghost of Tsushima. That was like $25 if you wanted the PS5 Director's Cut from the PS4 version. That's so messed up. So messed up that somebody's already bought the game. Oh, you're getting the upgrade version. Just pay for it. Why would I want to buy the game again? Just upgrade the shit. Or, most people just rely on backwards compatibility. Like, if you want your fan base to be loyal, just give them the updated version. Like, come on. Because, that just makes sense. It just makes sense, especially as a consumer. Nobody wants to buy the same damn game again. That's the case that I've had to do a little bit just from going Series S, but that's my fault because I didn't try hard enough for a Series X. But one day I'm going to get one because I've played them. I love them. I'd rather have a disc drive, but for now, like, if I want to play anything my friends have on disc, they have a Series X or whatever it is, if they have a Series X, a disc or digital, whatever, and my copy's on disc, I can literally just put it in my Xbox One and we can party chat and play the same game just like you would if you were on like a 360 or both had an Xbox One or whatever. It plays seamlessly. There's nothing wrong with that. The game plays flawlessly. Like me and my friends, GTA 4, we can all play together. I'm on Xbox One and they're both on Series X. We can both play the same game and it's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'm cool with that until I get a Series X, especially if I own it on disc. So, and yeah, like I was saying, if I own a game, if I had it on Xbox One, if I already owned the game on my Xbox One, as soon as I got my Series S, if there was a Series X and S version already available that supported whatever, enhancements that came out for the console, I automatically got it for free. Like Destiny 2, I know that game's free anyway, but you get what I mean. The Xbox One automatically upgraded to the X and S version for free, and it was right there in my library ready to download day one. So, I mean, and that was true for a few games, and to me that was awesome. So that was very friendly of Microsoft to do that. So Plus, like, Game Pass, you got all those games, you got EA Play, you actually get points for signing into Game Pass and playing games on Game Pass. And you can redeem those points as rewards. What's not better than that? Like, that's cool, man. That's awesome. But like I said, fellas, this video was not to, hate on Sony or rag on them. They're a multi-million-dollar company, but they are somewhat anti-consumer, just as everybody is. But they're a little bit more than other companies, I'd say. And once I broke out of that fanboyism habit, I soon realized that. So I got my PS4 on just for the background noise, just so the video is not super boring. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my rant. I hope you if you side with me. If you don't, I promise you it's not to start a console war. It's not to spark the PlayStation better, Xbox sucks, Xbox sucks, PlayStation sucks. Like, nah, it's not about any of that. Like I said, this is just from a gamer's perspective, what I've noticed in the past, little bit, especially during this generation. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I got to say, and y'all have a good one.